Luigi Mangione, the defendant, is charged with 1 count of murder in the first degree and 2 counts of murder in the second degree, including 1 count of murder in the second degree as an act of terrorism for the brazen, targeted, and premeditated shooting of Brian Thompson, who, as you know, was the CEO of United Healthcare.
Now for what's tipping the scales as his criminal case slowly heads to trial, alleged CEO killer Luigi Mangione is thanking his supporters from behind bars. The murder suspect is grateful in a new statement posted to a website that was set up by his defense team to give information about his cases due to the, quote, extraordinary volume of inquiries and outpouring of support. That statement goes on to say, quote, powerfully, this support has transcended political, racial, and even class divisions as mail has flooded MDC from across the country and around the globe. Thank you again to everyone who took the time to write. I look forward to hearing more in the future. Okay, so what do we think about this? Could this statement and the public support tip the scales in his case? Let's bring back in attorneys Tommy Pope and Kirk Nurmi. Kirk, I want to begin with you here, please. How do you see this big wave of support playing out for him?
Boy, you know, it's really kind of a disturbing wave of support, really. We can talk about this idea of putting, you know, profits over people in the healthcare industry and how disturbing that is. But the fact that people are supporting murder as a response to that is disturbing trend, along with this social media and website and all these things. But I think when we talk about getting into the courtroom, where cases are still tried, is the concern becomes covert jurors. If you're a prosecutor on the case, you're going to want to make sure that there aren't people that have a background of supporting him contacting this website. I mean, if I'm the prosecutor, I'm looking at the contacts for this website, I'm subpoenaing these records, things of that nature, to make sure that I don't have jurors on there that feel the way, that want to support, maybe have donated to his cause, things of that nature, because that's where the scales of justice can really be tipped, Julie, as we have that in the courtroom, because that's where this case is going to be tried, not on a website, not on X, nowhere else but that courtroom.
Oh, you're so right, Kirk. I want to show you both a look at the Mangione Defense Fund. This was created by the December 4th Legal Committee. They've got a new goal of $1 million. It was $500,000, but here's why. Apparently, look at, they've raised over $460,000 for this guy. Wow. And he's wealthy. So there's that, too. Tommy Pope, tell me, dovetailing off of the great point that Kirk just made about the concern of these stealth jurors getting on, who are supporting murder, perhaps, if he did what the government says he did. How concerned do you think these prosecutors should be with that potential threat?
I think it's legitimate. I think Kirk hit the nail on the head. You need one juror. You know, the prosecution needs all 12. You just need one juror to hang it up. The prosecution's got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And again, I want to back up and say exactly what Kurt said. This is a sad commentary. In our own family, we've had difficulty with health insurance and things that weren't covered that should have been, and all of those. But we're a country of rules and laws, and if suddenly you can you can shortcut your frustrations by taking a life and be lauded for that, we've got a serious problem. But from a prosecution standpoint in the courtroom, that's an additional layer of work in addition to prosecuting the case. As Kurt said, I mean, it's not that you don't try to do juror backgrounds anyway, but they're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to subpoena this information. They're going to have to add extra staff. It detracts from, did he commit this murder, and can you prove it beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, and Tommy, I love your commentary there. I couldn't agree with you more. It makes me sick when I hear people calling him a hero. To me, he's everything but that. My response is always, who did he help? What did he do to help? Heroes save lives. protect lives, help people. What did he do here? He's accused of taking a life. What good did this do? Even if you've got an issue, someone like him, I think the worst part about it is he was such an all-star student, all of that, had money, support, the family named. He could have potentially become a federal lawmaker or someone to actually make changes and try to affect things the right way. Kirk Nurmi, would you kind of talk to me a little bit about what are the challenges from the defense side? You've been on high-profile cases. You both have. What is it like defending a guy like this?
Well, it really depends on what your disposition is towards it, right? There are some defense attorneys that might share this, what I would consider perverse belief about, the righteousness of his conduct, et cetera. But, as you're trying this case as a defense attorney, you're certainly kind of happy about this in the sense that you have all this support. Maybe you garner information. There are things that can come out of these sort of things. And obviously there's a defense fund as well, right? And it's a strange juxtaposition, for defense attorneys to kind of be raising money. That's kind of, I taught a legal education a while back talking about high-profile trials in the social media era, and this becomes part of this, is the ethics of attorneys raising money and things of that nature. But, for me, my focus was the courtroom, because that's where the case is tried. But we see a lot of attorneys that are willing to step outside that courtroom and take some of this extraneous information, filter it, vet it, if you will, and maybe potentially use it in the case aside from the cash that is being donated.
This is really helpful insight. And Tommy, do us a favor, look at it from the opposite side. Being a prosecutor in high-profile cases, what's that like? Are these prosecutors nervous?
Absolutely. You got the additional pressure of the media, and it's like I was thinking what Kurt was saying. The opportunity to look at the Reed case and all the things on social media. It's the old, I can't figure out who's on first. There's so many things going back and forth. These lay prosecutors or lay defense attorneys that lay out all that information. Well, people consume that and believe it. So I think on the defense side, Kurt said a very important word, ethics. Your ethics only as good as people that'll stay on top of policing their own ethics. But if they cut that loose, you throw gas on anything you can, and the prosecution is trying to put out fires that are outside the courtroom when, is exactly like Kurt said, the case should be tried in the courtroom in front of a jury with a judge fairly for both sides.
Excellent insight from you both. Yes, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir when I say, it makes me cringe. I always tell people, vet your sources. Where are you getting your information from? Is this person credible? I see these YouTube lawyers that have never tried a case in their life and, have never worked in criminal court, and they're apparently the experts on everything. All right, Tommy Pope, Kirk Nurmi, love having you guys on the show. Thanks so much. Luigi is going to be in court this Friday. Court TV will be covering it. That is all for opening statement.